Hello everyone! Today I will show you how I made a desert biome to my game, Primal Fray. It's not a first design of the game look. I have done that already with my grass biome, so if you want to see that process, the link is on top of the screen. Today though, we are making a new biome, starting from theme, ideas and distinct elements to finally implement into the game. So without any further delay, let's go! I start with all the tiles from my grass biome prepared. I have two base tiles, which have different edges, to display depending on if they are adjacent to the end of the map or not. I have an elevated tile, 4 water tiles, again, their look vary depending on position of other tiles, 3 aesthetic tiles and 1 blockade tile. For my desert biome I start with changing background color and working on base tile. Maybe that's a good point to also mention that I work with previously prepared color palette and work within its restraints. It is way easier to work not making up new colors on the fly and instead just making decisions depending which one should you use. It is a back and forth process. I focus on the side of the tile, trying to achieve the look of different dirt layers which are visible when you cut a tile in half. It doesn't help that my aesthetic is quite flat and without much detail, so I struggle to convey all the information and color spectrum I have. It is worth noting, however, that I always recommend to start with the base simplest element of the set and go from there. In this case, the quality of my whole set will be only as good as my starting point, which is the base tile. In it, I want to show two things. First is layered side of it, already mentioned, and second is a distinct top. Right now I am trying to make it dry rock full of cracks, and even matching them with tiles adjacent. But I dislike the look, so instead I try to convey softness and flowiness of sand. Quite a change, I know, but I like how it turned out, so further we go. When the main tile is done, I copy it to every other tile that will use the base and focus on the edge tile. This one is supposed to be visible at the bottom of the map. I made this distinction for the grass tiles, as the bottom had to show more edge grass, which in turn would break the middle ones. So I stick to it. I don't really know if it's necessary in the desert case, but I try to add some more detail to it anyway. Then I begin to work on an elevated tile. I swap the top with my main tile and work from there. Here my main issue is giving too much detail, so I force myself to reduce it constantly. For the whole scene to look good, the bottom of the pillar should be quite uniform and dark for contrast. Actually, struggling with too much detail and too many colors will be a constant pain throughout the whole process. I don't know why, but I just want to stick more details into the piece and it just won't look similar to the first grass biome. Okay, but now the land tiles are quite done, so to the water we go. Or not really water, but rather liquid, I should say. I want to prepare 5 biomes for the game and want them to be both mechanically and visually distinct. The grassland is a starting biome, so it has no quirks. But I want desert to be a harder version in a way, so I will make 2 major changes. First one is lava instead of water. Technically, it is for now impossible in the game to traverse water in any way, but in the future I may add swimming primals or ones that freeze the water to walk through it. Lava makes those abilities obsolete, and in turn affects your team composition depending on biome, which is always a good thing in my opinion. Or maybe it even should deal fire damage if you stand too close. I don't know. But back to the drawing process. As you can see, I started with black rocks, not fully molten in the lava, and then started shading inwards. So parts furthest from the rocks are the most molten, and in turn the lightest. I do some back and forth wanting to have more space for specific colors or having too much space for others. I even make 4 distinct versions of the tile just to compare them and choose one I like the most. I end up with the lightest version as I really love those bright yellow highlights I got there. Finally, I add 4 variants to my lava, for it to contrast nicely with each terrain's shape. It is not as important as with translucent water, but still relevant I think. Remember when I told you there are 2 most significant changes? First one was lava, and well, the second have to be cacti. Like, desert cannot exist without cacti. They serve a form of a blockade, but deal damage in return, once again making the gameplay more taxing and difficult in this biome. Do you want to avoid them, or will you take the risk of destroying them to take some damage in return? Graphically, they serve a great role breaking the uniform yellows of the desert with traces of other colors, in their case mostly green. While drawing, I aim for round shape. I want the cactus to be firm and uniform bulb. Once again, I struggle with minimizing the color usage as I tend to overdo what really doesn't need to be overdone. I also struggled with spikes for a while, as I found it quite difficult to convey both their perspective, as they stick from around the bulb, and pointiness, as I want them to look sharp. It's sometimes really annoying to show such intricate details while only working with a few pixels. Now the part I call add-ons. Here we are trying to both convey the barren look of the desert while still adding some contrasting colors. I first decided to mimic the grass clump from my previous biome, but make it withered and dry, just to show the clear difference. It is also the add-on that gets generated the most, so it cannot be anything over the top. Next, I went for another cliché desert element. I just couldn't imagine my game without a proper school, you know? It isn't as vibrant, but it serves a good purpose to show some more desaturated colors in the biome. I ensure that it has a proper contrast and outline to fit with the rest of the style and decide to stick a rib beside it. Why not? Final tile. Here, I thought that I may have too much yellows in the scene, which are quite strong and not enough balanced. So I wondered what colorful thing may I lay in the desert to balance those yellows out. Thus, I decided on half-buried gems. I started with a blue color, but quickly advanced to others. I didn't want them to be too eye-catching. After all, they are just some visual add-on and not a gameplay element. Because of that, I went for really small shapes. There isn't much gem work to be done here, well, much less than in those intricate elements I've done for my UI, so in turn I cannot give you proper advice on such small scale. If you ever want a video about gems exclusively, let me know in the comments. As a rule of thumb, I try to stick with showing multiple sharp cut faces of the gem and filling them out with different colors. Only then I add some bright refraction elements. I also decided to add a white, cross-shaped shine to the gems, just to make them pop a little. Awesome! I think we are done here. Now, to just implement the new hexes in game and voila! Alright, shadow is green. It's a quick fix, fortunately. I made a separate sprite sheet for shadows and rendered them white. Now I can change their color depending on biome through script. And it all works! You can see that I can render map from one biome or another with a simple click, and everything is adjusted accordingly. I like this tileset quite a lot, but I think something is missing. Maybe lava should be animated and move a little? Glow? Definitely some effects are needed, but I am not exactly sure how to do them right now. Adding a light source for each lava hex seems to be quite taxing, and I just couldn't get a satisfying effect using bloom. If you have any idea how to improve this look, using some crazy effects, I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments, for God's sake. I just want this scene to look beautiful. If you have any tricks up your sleeve, just share them with me. Oh, and before we end the video, I have just recently set up a proper Discord. Props to you, Mali, for helping me out with that. There aren't many people there right now, but we are discussing all things game dev. And if you want to check it out or get in touch with me privately, just hop in. The link is in the description. I hope to see you there, and until next time, cheers!